Hello everyone, my name is Ashish and welcome to the Xadmin channel. So today in this lecture we are going to discuss some of the important and the frequently asked interview questions and answer on the abstraction topic. So let's start our session. So first question you may get on this topic is like what is abstraction and how you can achieve this. So basically, abstraction is like one of the component of OOPS concept in Java, and it is a technique or a process by which we can hide the data that is not required to the user. So it only shows relevant data and hides all unwanted data so that the user can work only with the required data. So actually the abstraction make us focus on the required data and it hide the main implementation. So it's only shows the required data and hide its implementation. So the real world example of the abstraction, we can say that in a car, there is a brake, right? And a driver apply the brake without knowing how internally the brake is getting applied or how the brake is working or how the car is stopped after applying the brake, right? So the internal implementation is hidden to the user and it's only showing the relevant things to work. So there is a only like a brake handle available to the driver to apply it. So he don't know the idea how the brake is applied. So in the real world example, we can take this example to understand the better. So abstraction is a technique or a process by which we can hide the data that is not required to the user. So it is not required for a driver to understand how the brake is applied, right? He has only applied the brake. It is not required the knowledge of how the working of the like brake is done, right? So it only shows relevant data to the user and hide its implementation or the unwanted data. So this is the example of a abstraction in Java. So now let's move to the next question, that how you can achieve or implement abstraction in Java. So basically there are two ways to achieve the abstraction in Java. The first with the help of abstract class and second with the help of interface. So if we are achieving abstraction with the abstract class, then the abstraction can be vary from 0 to 100%. But if we want to achieve 100% of abstraction, then we can go for the interface. So there may be a question that why with abstract class only like 0 to 100% variation is there, but with the interface direct 100% abstraction is achievable. So for this, the answer can be that in an abstract class can contain a abstract method and a concrete method. So here, like both type of method can be there in an abstract class. So abstract methods are the method which is not defined, whose implementation are empty and whose implementation are not defined. So that kind of method are called as abstract method, and that method is like and that method is marked as abstract with the abstract keyword. But the concrete methods are the method which has the implementation. So actually abstract class can have both this method, abstract method and a concrete method, a full implementation method or implemented method. So that's why it can be vary from 0 to 100%. But with the interface, we can achieve 100% of abstraction. So these are the two way basically to achieve the abstraction. Now let's move to the second question, that what do you understand by abstract class in a Java? So this is the important question, that what is abstract class? So abstract class is a class which can have a concrete and abstract method. If you are not writing any implementation of any method, then that method should be defined with abstract keyword, and that is called as abstract method. So in a class, let's say that we have a method, and if we are not defining like any implementation of this method and define that method with abstract keyword, then that method is called as an abstract method. So a class contains one or more abstract method, then that class must be declared with abstract keyword. So there is one rule in Java that if any class has a abstract method in it, then that class must be defined with the abstract keyword. Okay, so I will show you with the example. So now the second point and the other point is that a class is abstract, then it is not necessary that it must have abstract method. So this is the one of the point, that if a class is abstract, then it is also not required that it must have abstract method. Okay, so abstract class can have a concrete method only. So it is not a compulsory or a necessary rule that if I marked any class with abstract keyword, then that that class has must have abstract method in it. We can write almost all member of a class inside a abstract class, right? So for example, here you can see I have shown that I have written an abstract class test. So this is a test class, and define this class with the abstract keyword. And inside this class you can see I have one method with the name show, and return type is void, and also this class is also this method is marked with the abstract, right? So this is basically a abstract method, and this is a abstract class. And inside this, here you can see this is a concrete method with the name add, and the return type is integer, and here inside this some body is also there. So in a test class, which is abstract class, which has a abstract method with the name show, and it has a concrete method also with the name add, right? So this is the example of a abstract class. So in this way only you have to tell to the interviewer. Now let's see in the ID how we can implement. So here in this folder, in the abstract folder, you can see I have created one class with the name vehicle, and the vehicle class is marked with the abstract, right? And inside this I have created one run method, and this run method is also marked with the abstract keyword. So this is our abstract method, and this is our abstract class, right? And after that I have created one more class with the name bike. So bike extends vehicle. So bike is a subclass, and our abstract vehicle class is a superclass. Okay. So it will inherit the property. So all the property of the vehicle class will get inherited to the bike class, right? So this is the inheritance concept here. Now I have overridden the method, the run method, right? So in the vehicle class, you can see we have abstract method. So in the bike class, I have overridden. It means that I have provided the implementation of this run method. So for here, I have written a system.out.println and bike is running. And I have created one main method, and inside this I have created the object of a bike class. Okay, and then storing in a vehicle abstract class reference, and then calling a run method. So let's run this and let's see the output what we are getting. So run application, and here in the console you can see that bike is running, right? So here as I am running, it is calling a man method, and the object of the bike class is creating, and then after calling the run method, it is calling this run method. So this is the full example of an abstract class, right? So this is abstract class, and this is abstract method in it, and in the different class I am inheriting this class and then overriding the abstract method of this class. Okay, so this is the example of a abstraction. And here we have a run method. So only we are calling this run method, right? So the run method implementation is hidden here. Okay. Now, So let's move to the next question, that what is the difference between abstract class and a concrete class. So here the difference is that we cannot create an object of abstract class, but we can create the object of a concrete class. So this is the main difference between abstract class and a concrete class. So concrete class means any class which is not defined with a abstract keyword. So that is a concrete class. So we cannot create an object of abstract class, but we can create the object of a concrete class. And the second difference is that it can have zero or more abstract method that are not allowed in a non-abstract class. So the abstract class can have one or more than one abstract method, but the concrete class cannot have any abstract method in it. So this is the second difference, right? Now let's move to the next question which you may get, that what is abstract method in Java? So a method which is declared with abstract modifier and has no implementation, means no body, is called as abstract method in Java. It does not contain any body. So syntax can be like abstract, okay, type and the method name and the argument, as I have shown you in the example also. As of the run method in the vehicle class, you have seen that run method was an abstract method. For example, abstract void message, here no body is given, so this is an abstract method because the implementation of this method is not here defined here. So the next question is that, can an abstract method be declared as a static and with a private modifier, right? So this is a tricky question which you may get, and this is the important also, that can an abstract method be declared as a static and with a private modifier? No. So we cannot declare the abstract method with a static keyword, right? We cannot make abstract method as a static, and also we cannot make a like abstract method as a private. So reason is that the abstract method must be implemented in the child class, right? As we have seen in the vehicle class, that there is a run method. So that to implement the implementation of the run method, anyhow we have to implement that class, we have to inherit that class, we have to extend that class. So for that reason we cannot mark with a private keyword. Otherwise the accessibility of that method will be lost. So if we declare it as a private, then we cannot implement it from outside that class, right? So we cannot provide the implementation of that abstract method. So that's why we cannot mark that abstract method as a private. So for example, we can see in our Eclipse, so this is abstract class vehicle. So let's mark this with a static keyword. So here you can see, as I mark, then I get a compile time error saying the abstract method run in type vehicle can only set visibilities modifier one of the public or protected. So it can be only public or a protected, right? So we can remove this static. Now, if I try to mark this as a private, so then also we are getting an error saying that the abstract method run is type can be public or protected, right? It cannot be a private. So the reason, as I already said, that why it cannot be marked as a like a private, because we cannot like limit the accessibility of this. As this is abstract class, it means that the body is not given, so it need to be implemented into another class, right? So in the by class, you can see I have provided the implementation of this run method of a vehicle class. So for that we cannot mark this as a private, right? So it should be public, right? So this is the reason we cannot mark this as a private. Now the next question, let's move to the next question, when to use abstract class in a Java. So an abstract class can be used when we need to share the same method to all non-abstract subclass with their own specific implementation. So when to use abstract class in Java. So an abstract class can be used, let's say that there is situation where we fully don't know the implementation, but like partially we know the implementation, right? Let's say that we so in a real world example we can say that I am like a chip engineer, and I am now like building one like mall. So there I know that yeah, so there I know that my mall can be of like fourth floor. Okay, it can contain 4 floors, but I don't know how much room I can provide to it, right? So the fully implementation is not known to me in the initial stages. Although I know that it can contain like 4 floors, but I don't know that how much room it can contain inside that like in a like every floor, right? So partial like information is known to me in the initial stage of like building. So in that kind of situation we can use abstraction, right? So if we have to use abstraction, then we have to go with abstract class. So if we don't know the full like implementation, we know the partial implementation, then we can go with the abstract class. So an abstract class can be used when we need to share the same method to all non-abstract subclass with their own specific implementation. Yeah, so this is also the like one of the reason to use the abstract class, as we have seen in the run method of a vehicle, right? So in the bike class we have given the implementation of our own logic inside the bike class, right? So there is a run method in a vehicle class, and also we have like provided the implementation of the new implementation of that run method inside the bike class. So in this situation also we can use abstract class in Java. So the next question you can get, and this is important also, that what is the difference between abstract class and an interface, right? As we know that for abstraction, we can use both. We can achieve abstraction in Java with both the ways, by the abstract class and also with the interface. So the difference is that the abstract class can have abstract and a non-abstract method. So non-abstract method is also called as concrete method. So a abstract class can have abstract method and a non-abstract method, but a interface can have only non-abstract method. Okay. So the second point is that abstract class does not support multiple inheritance. With the abstract class we cannot means use or support the multiple inheritance in Java, but with the interface it can support a multiple inheritance. So the third point is that abstract class can have final, non-final, static, and a non-static variable. But in interface, it can have only a static and a final variable. So the variable defined in abstract class can be final, non-final, static. It can be non-static. Okay, it can be instance. But in interface, the variable can be only a static and a final, right? Other than that, it is not possible to define in an interface. So the fourth like difference which I can say, that abstract class can have a main method and a constructor also, but interface cannot have a main method and a constructor. So in interface the main method and the constructor is not there, but in an abstract class it can have a main method and a constructor also. So these are the some of the important points, like difference between the abstract class and an interface. And also in the terms of implementation you can say that we can use abstract class when when we don't have the knowledge of the full implementation of our logic. We have a partial like knowledge of our environment, then in that case or in that scenario we can go with abstract class, because it contains abstract method also and a concrete method also. But in interface we go with the situation, let's say that in a initial stage we don't know anything about the implementation, only we know that yeah, so there will be this kind of method and we have to implement in like later. Then in that scenario we can go with the interface. So that's why the 100% abstraction can be achieved with the interface, because interface contains only an abstract method, right? Not a concrete method. So this is the main difference between abstract class in terms of the implementation, and also in terms of their features and the uses. So this is the important question which we have to see. Now let's move to the next question, that we cannot initiate an abstract class, right? So the object of the abstract class cannot be created. Then why the constructors are allowed in abstract class? As we have seen here, that in the last point you can see that a constructor can be allowed in an abstract class, right? But as we know that the object of the abstract class cannot be created, but still the constructor is there, right? So it is because we cannot create the object of an abstract class, but we can create the object of their subclass, right? So in my initial example where I have shown the example of a vehicle and a bike, there also I have created the object of a bike, right? So bike was a subclass, and it was extending with the vehicle class, and vehicle was a abstract class, right? So it is because we cannot create the object of an abstract class, that is true, but we can create the object of their subclass. So from subclass constructor, there will be an implicit call to the superclass constructor. So from the subclass constructor, there will be call to the superclass, right? So that's why an abstract classes should have a constructor. Even if you don't create any constructor by your own in that abstract class, then the compiler will keep a default constructor. Okay, so let's see, and let's validate this point in our Eclipse. So this is our vehicle class, right? So now, and this is my abstract class. So what I will do, I will create one constructor here. Okay, so let's generate one constructor. So this is my constructor. Okay, so let's put some system.out.println inside this. Let's write inside vehicle abstract class constructor something. Okay, let's save this. And in the bike class, what I am doing, I am creating the object of the bike class and then calling this run method, right? So while creating the object only, it should call the vehicle class constructor, right? So let's run this bike class, and let's see the output. So here you can see, that first statement ran inside vehicle abstract class constructor. It means that as I create the object of the subclass, it means the bike class, the constructor of the superclass, that is the vehicle class, also ran, right? And it gives the output. So it means that the constructor is always there in the abstract class. So this is the proof of our statement that we can create the constructor inside our abstract class, and if we will not create, then the compiler will do for us as a default constructor, right? So yeah, so this is the reason. Now let's move to the next question, that can we declare abstract method as a private? As we have seen like earlier also, no abstract method cannot be private. If the abstract method are allowed to be private, then they will not inherit to the subclass and will not get enhanced, right? So as I have shown you, that we cannot mark our abstract method as a private, because the abstract method should get implemented in the further subclasses, right? If we mark that as a private, then it will not get inherited to the subclass, and the implementation of that abstract method cannot be given or provided. So that's why uh, that we cannot declare abstract method as a private. Now let's move to the next question, is that why the final and abstract cannot be used at a time? Let's say that we have a method with the abstract method, and why we cannot mark it as a final? Because the final and the abstract are totally the opposite in nature, right? So if we mark any class as a final or a method, So it means that that class cannot be inherited, right? And that method cannot be overridden, right? Further, where an abstract class or a method must be modified, and we know that if we mark any abstract class, then it should be get inherited to the other class, and their method and their abstract method should get re-implemented, or the implementation of that method should be provided. So that's why the final and the abstract are totally opposite in nature. So final keyword is used to denote that a class or a method does not need further improvement. So this is the final. And the abstract keyword denotes that class or method need further improvement or further implementation or enhancement, right? So that's why the final and the abstract keyword cannot be used at the same time with any class or any method. So let's move to the next question, that can we use abstract keyword with a constructor? Instance initialization block or a static initialization block? No. Constructor, so with the constructor also we cannot use abstract keyword, and with the static initialization also we cannot use a abstract keyword, and with the static and the instance initialization also we cannot use the abstract keyword. So you can check by yourself in the ID by writing one constructor, one static block, and a instance block inside your abstract class, and you can mark that with abstract keyword. So you will see that a compile time error will be given. So it is not allowed, right? So the next question is that, yeah. So now I have provided some important notes for you in the abstract class. About the abstract class is that an abstract class must be declared with an abstract keyword. So if we have to mark any abstract class as abstract, then we have to mark that with the abstract keyword. It can have an abstract and non-abstract method. So abstract class can have both abstract method and a non-abstract method. It cannot be initiated, right? So abstract class cannot be initiated, but the subclass can be initiated, right? And it can have a constructor and a static method also. So as I have like told you that it can have a constructor, and the constructor are called when the subclass object are created. So at that time the constructor of the abstract class is also created. So it is used to initialize the instance variable of abstract class, right? So the constructor are basically for that reason only, to initialize the instance variable of a class. So for that reason only the constructor are kept in an abstract class. So the fifth point is that it can have a final method which will be force the subclass node to change the body of the method. It can have a final method which will force the subclass node to change the body of the method. So we can mark any method. So it can be have a final method so that the implementation we cannot further change to the subclass, right? So these are some of the important point. And there is one more point, that if we mark any like class as abstract, then it is not necessary or compulsory rule to create one abstract method inside this, right? So without having any abstract method we can mark any of this class as abstract. So now the next question will come, that what is the need for marking any class as an abstract if there is no abstract method in it? So the reason is that we are like stopping for creating the object of that class. Let's say that if we want to stop the object, like the if we want to stop the creation of of that class, then we can mark that class as an abstract. And it is not necessary that we should have an abstract like method also in that abstract class, right? So this is the one of and although there are other ways to stop of creation of an object of any class, like like we can mark the constructor as a private. So in that way also we are restricting to create the object of a class, right? So these are the some of the important questions and the point regarding the abstraction, right? So I hope this will be like very useful for you in your interview sessions. Okay, so thank you and have a nice day. See you in the next lecture.